Chinese President Xi Jinping stated in 2014 that developing new energy vehicles is essential for China's transformation from a big automobile country to a powerful automobile country. To suit the needs of various clients, we should expand research and development, carefully examine the market, modify current policy, and create new goods. Today's video will discuss Chinese electric cars that are taking over the streets, only on our channel, Electrify. China's EV market. As a result of all of this, China now has a significant higher domestic demand for EVs than the rest of the world. A survey by the US consulting firm Alex Partners found that more than 50% of Chinese respondents were considering battery electric vehicles as their next car in 2021. There are numerous Chinese-made possibilities for buyers, including CAIC GM Wuling, BYD, NIO, XPeng, Geely, and Li Auto. The latter three are pure EV startups that went from nothing to household brands in less than 10 years, whereas the first three are examples of gas car enterprises that successfully switched to EVs early on. They do not perceive Chinese brands as less prestigious or inferior to foreign brands. Several nations are currently envious of China's EV experience. Even if they follow China's lead, it might not be more complex for them to succeed similarly. In contrast, the US and certain European nations have the technical capability and supply chains necessary to boost their EV businesses significantly. Is the nation prepared to make investments in this industry? Is it willing to grant this industry special protection and allow it to enjoy a very high degree of policy priority for a considerable amount of time? It's challenging to say. It will not be possible for nations like Brazil or India to duplicate this. These nations need China's traditional auto industry's size and sophistication to manage comprehensive industrial policies through various policy instruments. However, China's experience implies that EVs may present a chance for emerging nations to surpass more developed countries. Chinese EV companies believe they have a unique opportunity to grow internationally. Despite its saturated market and the delicate political climate, several are already accessing the European market and even considering moving to the US. However, their marketing language and approaches might need to be modified for different markets. The various technical standards and preferred software services will require them to adapt. They'll also need to develop the ability to handle multiple consumption patterns and customer service requirements. These businesses are also at risk in the present geopolitical climate by expanding into more nations that must maintain better relationships with China. Some of them would desire to safeguard their car sectors, while others might even view the entry of Chinese companies as threatening national security. Even after the local market in China is fully saturated, the growing Asia region would still require additional EVs to complete its energy transformation. Because of this, China's emphasis on EV supply has two advantages. It lessens the need for China to buy cars from Western nations and develops a new, long-lasting export business. Some countries, including Indonesia, seek Chinese funding to erect EV facilities. China exported 679,000 EVs in 2022, a 120% increase from the previous year. Chinese dominance is firmly established this time. Let us know what you think though in the comment box. Click Electrify's like and subscribe buttons to see more videos, and we'll get back to the video. The shift towards EVs. Before it entered the EVs field in the early 2000s, China's auto industry was difficult. Although it was a manufacturing powerhouse for conventional internal combustion vehicles, there were no native brands that could someday compete with the foreign manufacturers who dominated this market. Due to China's recent strong economic expansion, many people can now afford to acquire their cars. Thus, there was an increased mobility and the auto market became fully fledged. However, this has also led to substantial greenhouse emissions, urban air pollution, and an increasing reliance on imported oil. The Chinese realized that they could never innovate internal combustion engines as quickly as the US, German, and Japanese heritage automakers. Furthermore, countries like Japan were already leading research on hybrid vehicles, whose batteries in the early years played a secondary role compared to the petrol engine, so China couldn't truly compete there either. This prompted the Chinese government to abandon proven technologies and invest in new fields, such as battery-only cars. Because EVs were still merely niche experiments produced by companies like General Motors or Toyota, who often discontinued them after only a few years, the dangers were very high. However, the potential payoff was substantial. China may gain an advantage in what could be a major portion of the car industry. However, countries that were excellent at making petrol or hybrid cars had less incentive to research novel vehicle designs. As a result, the Chinese government started investing in related technologies as early as 2001. In the country's most comprehensive economic plan, the 5-year plan, EV technology was included as a priority science research project. Then, in 2007, Wang Gang, an auto engineer who had spent 10 years working for Audi in Germany, was appointed China's Minister of Science and Technology, giving the sector a huge boost. Wang tested Tesla's first EV model, the Roadster, in 2008 when it debuted. Wang was an avid supporter of electric vehicles. Wang is now credited with deciding that the country embrace electric vehicles wholeheartedly. Since that time, China's national economic planning has constantly given EV development a top priority. The Chinese government has implemented measures to promote plug-in electric cars, EVs, to buck these alarming trends. Since purchasing an electric vehicle, EV, is more expensive than an ICE or ICE vehicle, the government started offering considerable subsidies for EV purchases in 2009. However, because of the wide price gap and the high number of purchasers, it became very expensive for the government to provide subsidies. China's policymakers consequently intended to require automakers rather than gradually phase down the donations at the end of 2020. The rule stipulates that a predetermined proportion of all vehicles a manufacturer sells each year must be battery-powered. Every year, manufacturers must achieve a predetermined number of points, which are given for each EV produced using a complicated system that considers range, energy efficiency, performance, and more, in order to avoid financial penalties. As the regulations tighten, it's hoped that by 2030, EV sales will account for 40% of all new car sales. According to William H. Green, the Hoyt C. Hottel Professor of Chemical Engineering, this action will have a significant impact on the production of EVs all over the world. This is one of the strongest mandates for electric cars worldwide, and it's being imposed on the largest car market in the world, he claims. There will be a huge increase in the production of electric vehicles and the batteries that go into them, bringing down the cost both globally. The switch to EVs positively impact the environment and other factors, but how much will the country have to pay? The cost to the customer of owning and operating a car was their focus, as they looked at the mixed effects of the mandate on all relevant parameters, including battery pricing, production costs, vehicle prices, and sales. Using these findings, they can predict the overall social costs of adhering to the obligation over the next 10 years. One significant benefit China has had in producing batteries is in its control over a large portion of the raw materials. The nation does not necessarily have the most natural resources for making batteries, but it does have the bulk of the world's refining capacity for important elements. China has described its control of chemical materials as the ultimate control of the sector, and pursued for years before others even figured that this was important. Other nations are already making agreements with Chile and Australia to take ownership of rare earth metal mines as they've realized the value of battery materials. However, China's advantage has provided local businesses with a long-standing solid supply chain. That will be all for today. Subscribe to our channel Electrify and check out more tech-related videos. Thank you for watching.